Around 1150 AD, someone buried a cache of beads and bells in these mountains that was worth a fortune at the time. It lay hidden, buried near one of these peaks for almost 800 years. Then, in 1949, a hunter stepped in the wrong place and accidentally discovered one of the richest caches of artifacts ever discovered in the Southwest. Today, I'm at Catalina State Park near Tucson, Arizona, to tell you the story of what's called the Romo Cache. But it's really not properly a cache, it's more of an offering. Let's dig in. Catalina State Park sits at the base of the Santa Catalina Mountains in southern Arizona. 1,000 years ago, this area was inhabited by the Hohokam, skilled desert farmers, traders, and craftspeople who lived across much of southern Arizona. A large Hohokam village, known today as Romero Ruin, was located here and is now protected by the park. This village was occupied for about the entire run of the Hohokam culture, from around 500 till 1450. The site covers roughly 15 acres on a ridge above Sutherland Wash, where you can walk the short Romero Ruins Interpretive Trail and see the outlines of rooms, trash mounds, and the remains of a Hohokam ball court. In the 1800s, rancher Francisco Romero built his homestead right on top of the ancient village, reusing stones from the ruins. That's how the place got its modern name, but the real drama of this landscape centers on a discovery made a few miles away. In November 1949, while hunting on a remote hilltop about 3 miles northeast of the Romero Ruin, a man named Ray Romo felt the ground give way under his foot. When he cleared the loose rocks, he uncovered a red-on-brown pottery jar carefully covered by an inverted bowl of the same type. His foot had broken the bowl. Inside the jar were approximately 100,000 tiny stone beads, mostly red and black stone, with a few turquoise and marine shell pieces, and between 25 and 30 copper bells. The pots can be dated based on their style of decoration, Tanque Verde Red on Brown, and date to roughly AD 1100 to 1150. Let's learn more about the contents of the pot. The beads were made up of around 40,000 black steatite, 58,000 red argillite, and 2,000 shell and turquoise. Experimental archaeology has shown that making those beads, processing the stone, drilling the holes, shaping, and polishing would take approximately 15 minutes per bead. For 100,000 beads, that represents approximately 25,000 hours of labor. That's the equivalent of one person working nonstop for years. More likely, it was the result of a number of people working over a long period of time. If strung together, they would stretch 300 feet. And if an average necklace had measured 4 feet long, this is enough beads to make approximately 75 necklaces. Many of the beads show wear from having been strung, suggesting they once formed necklaces or other ornaments. Then there are the copper bells. These are rare in the Southwest. They were cast using sophisticated metallurgical techniques and traveled north through long-distance trade networks, most likely from West Mexico, over 700 miles away. Finding nearly 30 of them together in one place is truly exceptional. It's interesting to me that everything I've read about the Romo Cache says 25 to 30 copper bells. It's like, can't they just count the bells and know exactly how many there are? So my theory is that they suspect that Ray Romo probably kept 5 or so bells for himself when he turned it over to the museum. The Romo Cache was found only a few miles from Romero Ruin, one of the larger Hohokam settlements in the Tucson Basin. The village had ball courts, residential compounds, and extensive agricultural fields. The Hohokam people living at Romero Ruin and the other villages in that area were no doubt the people who were making the stone beads that were found in this cache. And they were also participants in that long-distance trade network that brought valuable things like copper bells and seashells into the area. The cache shows us what kinds of things these people valued and treasured. So let's ask the important question, and that is, what was the value of these items? I don't mean the market value today. These are priceless artifacts that can't be given a value. I mean, What was the value of these items to the people that buried them there? As I've already said, the labor investment alone to create the stone beads is in the neighborhood of 25,000 man-hours. So these beads represent a massive investment of labor and value. And the copper bells were a rare and valuable commodity that came from far away in limited numbers. So in today's money, these items would be worth at least $500,000. So this was no small thing. To those ancient Hohokams, this was a major treasure that they buried on that hilltop. The word cache means a hidden storage space for supplies or valuables. To me, this seems to imply that this is something a person is storing temporarily and will be coming back for. And I don't think the word cache therefore accurately reflects this situation. I think this is way too much value to represent some trader's cache of goods that he's planning to come back for. Most likely, this represents an offering rather than a stash of beads for trade. Perhaps it's an offering petitioning for water on a very dry year. Likely an offering made by a number of villages, pooling their resources and their wealth so that they can make the most valuable offering possible. If you want to visit and connect with this ancient landscape, the Romero Ruin Interpretive Trail is an easy 3/4 mile loop with signs explaining the Hohokam village and the later Romero homestead. The exact location of the Romo Cache itself is secret, but the surrounding landscape is U.S. Forest Service land and is open for hiking. The hills, the wash, the nearby rock art areas still look and feel much as they did in 1150 AD when the cache was buried here. Today, the Romo Cache is carefully stored at the Arizona State Museum, where, I am told, top men are working on it.
Who? Top men.
And someday, when the museum opens to the public again, you may be able to see these items for yourself, as I did back in 2024, right before the museum closed for an indefinite period of time. What sticks with me is the human effort behind those 100,000 beads. Someone, or possibly many someones, worked many hours creating those small disc-shaped stone beads. Someone else carried those copper bells hundreds of miles north out of Mexico. And another someone put them on that hilltop and carefully buried them there. If you ever walk the trails at Catalina State Park, take a moment to look at the mountains and remember, this quiet desert landscape once held one of the richest single deposits of prehistoric wealth ever found in the Southwest. If you enjoyed this little window into ancient Hohokam wealth, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe, because I've got more stories of the ancient Southwest coming up. I appreciate you watching today. I'll catch you next time.